if I'm going to be brutally honest, I'm not sure if I could have a kick into the top 25, and that's my highest ranking, 25. And what I was doing at the time for that, I always used to say, oh, I'm not lean enough, I'm not fit enough. I always used to put myself down, but doing less now, realised how much you have to do. Because I don't outplay players. Like, I'm not. I don't think I've ever been on shot of the month. Like, it's like when I play it, it's like it takes a lot of energy. I'm charging around, volleying a lot, and you know.
George Parker on the Squash Player Magazine podcast. Ready to dive into it, George?
Yeah, more than.
Gee, I wanted to start, George. I think if you took a cross section of what the internet says about George Parker as a squash player, bit of troublemaker is maybe the kind of word that will come out. Is that a fair assessment of you?
Well, from YouTube, yeah, and from games in the past, yeah, it's believable. Yeah, it's not. I think a lot of those altercations I had were more reactivity than aggression, and you know, a lot of the situations I was in, I don't think I started them, but once I got to a certain mental point, I'd always behave in the same way. But it was always only a 2-minute spell of anger or, you know, fight or flight, basically. I was either really scared and wanted to run away or so aggressive. And obviously I'm quite a bigger guy. I come across I look quite aggressive anyway. So it's like it add a load of caffeine and testosterone into that. There was times where I'd just explode, but it would never be like a constant thing. Like once I got that out of my system, people would see me 5 minutes later saying, "What was that about? And you're okay now." I could even with some of the explosions towards characters, if it was like a personal thing, and it was in the heat of the moment. 5 minutes later, I could sometimes apologise. I remember doing that to Greg Lobbin actually in league once. I was being a bit of a prick, really, like, you know, blocking, and I was trying to work on my behaviour, but it wasn't really working. And I remember we were training together with Nick Maffey at the time, so we were sort of like half friends but competitive at the same time. And I remember flying and blocking and like maybe doing a bit of talking, and then 2 minutes afterwards, when it all calmed down, I didn't think he expected me to come up, and I just went, "Sorry, man, I just want to apologise." It was like the complete opposite end of the character on court. So I just think it was a lack of control of reactivity, really. Because I can be like that in day-to-day life. Everyone's got a pushing point of like flying, but it's nowhere near to the point where it was when I was competing.
So it wasn't like you never went on court looking to be overly aggressive, like?
Maybe when I was a bit younger, when I had a few rivalries, you know, when I was 18, 19, 20 on the academy squads, I did have more of an aggressive attitude. But I don't think I would openly look for it, like in terms of a altercation. But if it came,
when you say aggressive attitude, do you mean like playing the game aggressively or looking?
Just didn't really care who I played. I just wanted to win. Yeah. So it's like when I was 8. Yeah, we're going through 18, 19, 20 when I started to get up from like 100 to like close to 50 in the world. That was probably my stage where I was my most aggressive playing wise squash, and obviously with my mentality as well. But I wasn't going into these matches thinking, right, I'm going to make this nasty. It was just, you know, it's part of the game when you're playing another young lad, you know, and you're both wanting to prove a point. Some people could dip in and out of, you know, aggressive playing, like, you know, being strong around the tee, holding your position, a bit of chat, but they could always remain within themselves. Every time I got to that stage, it was just, you know, unless someone was like more of a calming energy and they were like backing off, if they were going towards me, I'd just fly. So it's like I didn't have good self-control in them, you know, in them intense times, really. I think that was my biggest problem going through with all the bans I've had. Couldn't tell you how many bans I've had. It's got to be over a year's. Probably lost a year's worth of playing just from behaviour, like in 10 years. So, and it was, all my own doing, really. Just lack of self-control in the moment. But that's not my character. I'm just a bit of a loose cannon, really. I'm not nasty. I'm just nuts. Like I'm not. if you speak to anyone around me, I think they just probably think I'm chaos. But you know, like I said, everyone's got a nasty side. The nicest person in the world can turn nasty. So it's just, but yeah, that's not who I am. Those videos on YouTube, like I watch it back, some of the stuff, and I try not to now. But you know, sometimes when I've had a few drinks at home and I'm a bit drunk on the sofa, it's like, right, I'm gonna have a look at these videos, and like looking back at it, it's like it's hard. It's like an act. Like a lot of it's an act because I know that's not who I am. You know, it's just the occasion got to me. So it's like, and I don't know. People want to see me as a character, and they see Curios and all these people like, well, I'm making a living out of it. But to me, it's never the most intense and toughest people in sports give you no emotional signals. Not Joel, Paul Cole. They're the biggest for me. They give you nothing, and they're probably the mentally toughest because no matter how much pain, aggression, all that kind of stuff they're in, you could be 1-1 or 8-1, you don't know. In the fifth, 8-1 in the fifth, you don't know. That's tough. Not smashing your racket and screwing up to someone. That's not tough. You know, there's always someone who's bigger than you who can do that until you find him.
you said at the start that it was always reactive. Do you mean sort of you could just feel the heat, you know, the pressure getting a bit more, and then it was a snap? It was sort of like you almost didn't feel that turning, that crossing of the barrier coming.
I could probably feel it if I really think about it. I could feel a deep feeling of this isn't going to go well, but I had no control over what I was going to do. So, and that sounds, you know, people might not believe that, but I generally would do stuff and not know I've done it in the heat of the moment, like speaking to someone, throwing rackets. It was just so like buffering on the edge of snapping all the time. So once I'd do something, you know, I would obviously I take responsibility for it, but it was just, I don't know, it happened, and I'd do stuff and I can't, you know, I'd do things in Manchester when I'm training, I'd just go absolutely mental, and I could probably feel it deep in my belly somewhere, but that time of where you have that little bit of a buffer to say, right, no, remember where you're at, remember what you're doing, like that kind of, what's it called?
Just that ability to stop.
Oh, just knowing where you're at, yeah, you know, a bit of,
self-awareness.
yeah, self-awareness, and yeah, you know, it's a job and stuff like that. So everyone has an emotion, but a lot of people have that. It's logic. That's what I'm trying to find. Logic. That logic of, right, I can't do this, you know, and that you need to have a stable mindset and be internalizing yourself to do that. I never was. I was basically out of the room when I was everywhere. I was never. In 10 years, I don't think, until I was on my ADHD meds, which has only been a year, I don't think I've ever had a conversation with myself on court. I've just gone up, warmed up, been either basically fight or flight. I've been scared and didn't want to be there, or I've been so ready to fight that I've got no control. And there was no tactic, no, you know, he's doing this, he's doing that. It was just, I'm doing this, and if it's not going to work, I'm either going to run or I'm going to come full steam ahead at you. And that there was no thinking in that at all. So the reactiveness was just, I just feel like I was there, but I sort of wasn't. So I can't really tell you that. I can't remember all this stuff that you know. I can remember a couple of wins here and there, and I've had some big wins, but I can't remember half my games. Like, and that I can remember. Well, I've drank a lot over the years as well. Like, I've obviously messed that up with drinking, but in terms of like, I speak to people like, you know, the pros, they write everything down. They've got memories. I remember this game. He was speaking to Sam Osborne Wild yesterday. He was talking about Jonah Bryant remembered a point where he lost to Faraz Dazuki a year ago, whatever it was, and he remembers it like clear to this day, and he speaks about it in training. Not even in my remit. No, maybe a couple of times I lost to Dimmy in the World Champs, and I clipped a few tins. I might speak about it for a week, like, you know, but it's not gonna. And I hope that's rare for me to remember something like that.
Almost like it's a black hole when you play.
Well, I'm just there. I don't know. My brain could be used at, watching me outside of court, and nothing. Like, if you look at the top players, everything is about what's going on now and what's going to happen next. What can I do? So it's a process. For me, it'd be like, who's watching me outside of the court? I'll go into someone else, the referee, and then a noise would, like, it just be everything, and then I'd go deep into my emotions, like really angry. Then there was never actually like a tactical or like, right, knuckle down here, or just let's breathe and think. For 10 years, it was none of that. It was just fucking just happening in front of me, basically. So I don't know. I feel like the best players have that calmness and that thought process of, it doesn't matter where it's at, they can look 2-3 points ahead and like, right, this isn't going that well. What do I need to do? Am I watching him? Is he tired? Or that? It wasn't any of that. I was just all in my own little scatty world, really.
Well, you said scared earlier when you were on court. What do you mean by scared?
Just in general, fight or flight. Just some days you fancy and some days you don't, and some days it's going to be an uphill challenge, and you've got two choices, haven't you? You can either run at it and try very hard, and it's going to be a very tough process, but you can give it your all, or sometimes you can see that challenge and not want to know, like, sometimes. And So I openly admit I've had that sometimes where I've not really done that bad in training. I've done a bit, and I could generally have gone, right, I'm going to get stuck into it here, and just even if everything's going bad, I'm going to, just stick into the end. And you can still lose that process, but sometimes, with whatever reason why, my brain wanted to run away from that situation. Not all the time. Sometimes it runs towards it. And that doesn't mean just because you're angry, it runs towards it. Sometimes I've generally really kept my calm, especially more within the last year. Nothing to do with my performance going up, but just being present and trying the whole time and actually trying to stick in.
Is a bit of that, I might be reading too much into it, but is a little bit of that, you said you're looking around and wondering what other people think. Is a bit of it, is a little bit of it being sort of
It could be
scared of giving off the wrong impression or something?
or insecurity. I've not really thought about it a lot, to be honest. Yeah, there's a lot of pressures on you as a player and as a person, isn't there? And you've built this character up, so I don't know. It could be insecurity it could be that. It could just be genuine pressure. And it could just be character as well. It could just be my character. That's who I am. But yeah, I don't know. Like I've been fortunate to be very physically strong and intense with what I do. So, and I have gone through periods of training very hard with Joel and stuff like that. So that can almost bypass a lot of these things, because I could, not the top 20 boys, but when I'm really flying around and fit and doing my running, I can blow a lot of people away without thinking. Not the top. I've never beat the top 16, and I'm not doing it consistently. But that bracket from like 30 to 50 or 40 to 60, like I don't really need to. I could do 2 weeks of training really hard and mentally sort of not even be there, but I can play a pace, volley and play a pace. And is that a challenge? Probably not, because I find the physical thing quite easy when I'm training. So a lot of the time where it got mentally tough, I think it was because of the years of me being quite a physical, animal when I was training. I could bypass the mental side of it. And I think when it came to it, the fight or flight was because I've not actually gone to that place where I was like asked questions, because a lot of the time from a good junior, you're not really asked questions. I ask questions with the bands and stuff. But when you, like I said, when you're young and you're drinking and stuff, you don't think about that until you're older. So I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe the physicality side of it and a bit of luck here and there stop me from going to that mental place where you need to be comfortable under pressure and stuff like that, dealing with pressure, markers, situations, money, all that kind of stuff. And I've been diagnosed with ADHD, and that's not the reason why. I think it's a part factor of behavioural issues, but I think as a character, you've got my ADHD and you've got me as a character as well. I think the character of me still needed to be put in these situations where I was tested mentally. And I just think the physical side of that, and, I don't know, it maybe got me through more. And I wish I got tested earlier. I wish I found, and I did get tested earlier, but obviously I didn't. I always, like I said, I always run a million miles away. I'd get drunk for a week and forget about something bad I did, and then the way to solve it would be like, right, I'm gonna ring Joel up. Joel wants me to go train because I'm intense, so like train twice a day with him, get fit, do my hill sprints, be an angry man again, and like everything, everything's gone. That little bit of rebuilding where the top players, they can sit on the flight on the way home and be depressed and angry at what's going on, and have the reality check the next day to be able to go, right, where do I go? And my thing was like, I would sort of run away from it, and then forget about it, and that little memory's gone. It's in the back of your brain, but if you're wanting to ignore it, it's gonna be put back there. And then I'd solve it by like, right, now no one's gonna train as hard as me for 10 days, like what Joel does. But
is that almost like saying to yourself, like if I don't sit down and like watch it back and admit that I've been mentally weak, then I don't have to face up to the fact that maybe I'm not as strong as I thought I was.
How weird's this? Like a lot of the time I watch my squash back is when I'm drunk. How weird's that? That tells you something, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just very one-dimensional with the way I did things, and maybe that was the mental fragileness when I was younger. But I would sort of half know a weakness, and I'd behave badly mentally or whatever, and that I'd have a say if my backhand's not right, I'd half know it, but then I would always have a resolution of, right, this is the one thing I need to do, I'm just going to do it. And a lot of the time it was when I was younger, I'm not aerobically fit enough. Just say that I'm very powerful, but I used to play at a pace where I'd blow out. So to deal with I've got way more problems than that. Like that's not just, everyone's got more than one weakness. So, but in my brain, it was like, right, potentially if I completely zone into this, I don't have to have the mentality of actually really looking at my weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I'd just go boom into that, and I'd run 10 miles 3 times a week, like be doing sweating through my socks and stuff like that, and be really fit, and then that might get me over the line for a few times. And like I said, mentally, because I'm physically strong, was I actually being tested there? Because I enjoy doing that anyway. And you know, a lot of these wins I'm having in the first round of the World Series when I was playing in it, like, you know, I sort of can get over the line without thinking of that. But the top 16, top 25 players will always push that bit in you where you need to have more in the tank, and that, you know, I would never address that. And like I said, I'll come back from a tournament, have a few drinks, and right, there's one, I'd pick one thing. You know, if I blew out too early, right, I'm not fit enough. And that's not always the case, is it? You know, just because you get a bit tired doesn't mean that you're just not fit enough. And then I just dive in. I just
zone in on that
one thing, but I'd do it to a point where I'd do it probably more than a lot of people.
Right.
I presume so. I don't know, see everyone's training stuff, but you can ask Joel and people. I'd put in a bit of a shift, but it's all very one dimensional. I just probably think it's because I was afraid to attack the bigger picture, really. And I think that takes balls, really, doesn't it? To actually do that, I think it takes a lot of balls. So
The fact that you're able to say that though shows maybe you weren't always, but now you sort of you're self-aware.
oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, yeah.
Is it something that you're trying to actively work on at the minute?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, yeah, definitely nearly 30 now. So it's like, and yeah, I'm probably drinking less. So, you know, you've got more normal thoughts going through your head. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know I mentioned ADHD already, but like I've got a lot more clarity when I'm taking the medication in the heat of the moment as well. I just get a bit of a buffer between the reactiveness. So before it'd be like boom, 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 gone. Now it'd be like I can feel it more bubbling and feel it, and right now I know what's right or wrong.
Right, so the situation's getting hard. The referee feels it.
Yeah, I
like
can
he's
feel it
against you.
coming.
You can sort of stop yourself.
And I can feel my mindset as well. So I can feel if I'm in a fight or flight. I can feel that day if I want it or not. So before I wouldn't. It'd be acting out. Now it's like the self-talk can be quite negative sometimes. So that I'm just way more within my own head. So I can still get distracted and stuff like that. But yeah. So I think that clarity of playing the last year, the results haven't matched. You know, it's not made me a better player, because squash is squash. You can have I know a lot of people got a great mind, what are 80 in the world. Like they're just, you know, they're just not good enough technically, but they've got a stable mind. But I think over the last year I've had way more clarity in who I am as a person. Yeah.
So just to try and paint that picture, if you go in pre-ADHD, pre-meds, a couple of decisions go against you, builds up and snap, shouting at the ref, or a racket gets snapped, you don't really know, sort of say you don't really, you can't really remember doing it. You can't. Is it now a case of you play a match and it's going against you, you can kind of feel and stop that reaction happening?
I can stop it, yeah, definitely stop it. I've not been whacked in the face or drilled with a ball for it, so I don't know if someone purposely whacks me, how I'd react. But generally, within the demeanour that markers talk to me, and they can be quite condescending and stuff like that. I don't know if squash probably doesn't mean as much to me at the moment than it did. So I don't know if that's played a part in it. You know, I've got more things going on in my life. So, but I can feel that tension coming up, whether it's right, I'm struggling here, you're trying to look for a way out, or I can feel it like, I'm getting angry. I can feel that coming, and then I have a bit of clarity, right, what do you do? Can't always, you know, sometimes you get the negative self-talk and you try and say, what are you talking about? No, you can do this, come on. But I'd rather be having that conversation than not talking to me on it at all, and just live completely in the moment. Because that's, you know, if you are in fight or flight like that, if you're not above the line of your emotions, you need to be a step ahead, don't you? But I never was. It was just always like that for me. So
and you sort of said earlier, right? The ADHD a year ago you got diagnosed?
Yeah, year and a half, something like that. Yeah.
Do you think had you had that diagnosis when you were 18, 19, it would have helped you?
I don't know, because like I said, there's the character side of me, and there's, you know, my personality, and then there's my actual like traits, what I do, what, you know, not a lot of the people do on the tour. I understand that, but I really don't know. A lot of people said, yeah, maybe. It's quite hard to judge, isn't it? Because a lot of these times where I'm not thinking, I am that raging sort of bull. Like I've actually weirdly had some of the best results. So it's like, you know, I really don't know. If I was more calm and thought a bit more, would it take a bit of the intensity out of that kind of, you know, jumping on everything, like, I don't know. There's no point thinking about it, is there really?
Well, like as a junior, you were pretty successful. You're European junior champion. I saw you took Diego, I think maybe to 5 in a British Junior Open semi-final. So you were up there.
Yeah.
Like definitely incredible junior talent. Well, is it the mentality that you think is, you know, if you just take you and Diego as an example, semi-finalist, Diego's gone on to world #1. Is it just the mental side that's made the difference in that sort of senior game evolution?
Comparing me to him is like, you can't, can you? Like, his natural squash ability is, you know, one of the best I've ever played against. Like, Gawad's up there as well with just raw talent, but like, yeah, so I wouldn't even try. But you can compare me to Joel. Joel's a better comparison, or Pat. You know, he's top 20. Deck's been top 15. You can compare me to them, and the difference, lifestyle, mentality mainly. You know, the willingness to really buy into squash 80% of the time. That's what you need. You can't be 50-50. It can't be, right, I've done 2 sessions, and to be top 10, or, you know, really great players, what we're going to remember. You know, 20 to 30 in the world. There's been a load of those come for England, you know, and you half heard of them. They're cracking players, but they're not remembered, are they? To have that top edge which Joel's got, 100%. He made a choice when he was, you know, he was similar ranking to me. He was nowhere near as good as me. At 17, 18, I used to beat him 3-0 at West Warwick's, and then he'd be going running outside doing 5 miles, when I'd be like, oh, I've chopped Joel up this morning, it's great, and he's running 5 miles and doing a solo before we hit the next day. That's it's buying into the lifestyle, and just, it's not, he's got a life, you know. I don't mean he's a normal lad, but he made a choice to say, right, I've got 10 years in this, am I going to regret it? And as well, his character is, he's going to work hard in anything else. If he had a normal job, he'd be doing more. So I don't think I've got them traits. I think I'm just generally more of an up and down person, really. I think that's affected it. I don't even think the behavior. I just think generally, if I made that choice, you know, I've been with my girlfriend for 9 years now. So I met her when I was 19, 20. We've had a house for 7. So I've had a lifestyle where probably I had that lifestyle quite young. At 22, 23, I'm in a house. I've got a dog. I've got quite a comfortable life. So when I'm going away to America, I am generally thinking about, I can't wait to get home. You know, and it wasn't always like that. There was a couple of, when I was bubbling up at the start, and I had that real wave of, I think I got from like 60 to 30 in the world, like 33, I remember, and I was like, I won a few in the platinum, people starting to recognise me. Then I was like, right, I'm dialed in. I was with Nick Matthew for a full year. I was up in the gym at 8:30 every morning. Like, the squash was probably 70-30 then in my mind. I still had all the things that I still like to drink, but I reined it in a bit more. But it just didn't last. Once that like wave of like, talent, look at him, your ego's going up and up and up, because you're 22, you're 30, and they think, oh, everyone was predicting you're going to be this. But when something fizzled out and phased out, I just went less and less into it went 60-40 squash to lifestyle, and it went 50-50, and it's probably 80-20 non-squash at the moment. Like, it just generally fizzled out, and I don't know what, it probably shows that I was quite externally driven, I think, maybe. I don't know, my ego was anyway. I don't know. But to me, that's the difference, you know. Joel made a decision, and these top players, and not that doesn't always equal a good player. There's plenty of Egyptians what probably train once a day and have got a bit of body fat, what are just good, you know, like just talented. Are they thinking about, I'm right, I'm doing this lifestyle? No, they eat pizza, they're just good. So, but for us, you know, European English players, we're not hitting from twice a day from 8 years old. You know, we start to play more at 15, 16, 17, and unless you're a really good junior. So you're not going to just fly. You get the odd ones like Jonah, but he's probably different. I remember him being on court at West Warwick's when he was like really young, and everyone's saying, oh, he's really like 9 or 10 or something like that, because he's younger than me. So he's done a lot of hours. People probably don't know the hours he's done already, and he's really young. But yeah, I think we need to, you know, have that mentality like Joel. It does make the difference between being, you know, being 25, 30 in the world, or, you know, securing 5 in the world for 5 or 6 years. That's the difference, really.
It almost sounds like
I don't regret it though. I don't regret it. I've had some brilliant friends. Like, you know, it's been a whirlwind, really. I don't regret it. Like, I don't know. I judge people. I want to know how people judge me as a character. My close friends, like, people are always gonna who don't know you are always gonna say certain stuff about you. But I know my genuine people who are close to me know I'm a trustworthy guy. I won't steal anything. I'll be honest with you. I won't. My trait. I'm happy with my traits with that. So whether I got to 18, 15, whatever, I just want to be known to my close friends as a good lad. That's, and to my family. There's nothing else. You know, no medals or anything like that can replace that, can they? In my mind, anyway. It's someone else who's not as close to the family and friends, and you're more of a lone person. Fair play, like, but it's just for me, yeah, it don't bother me really.
Where do you sit now, though? You know, nearly 30. If you look at someone like Matthew, he was in his 30s before he started achieving all of his great things. Like, have you still got the motivation to keep pushing and try and improve yourself, or is it?
To be honest with myself, yeah. It takes a lot of, it takes a lot of funding, a lot of traveling, yeah, a lot of motivation, and like I said, a lot of mine was external going through. I still get a little waves of like really wanting to push, but I don't know where my squash will go. It will take a big push, like a big summer of being on with Joel every day, coaching less, running. Like I said, my body, I'm not the most efficient mover. I'm quite explosive. I get into these big positions, so I am probably a ticking time bomb with my body as well. So I generally don't know. I couldn't answer that where it's going to go. If I'm going to be brutally honest, I'm not sure if I could have a kick into the top 25, and that's my highest ranking, 25. And what I was doing at the time for that, I always used to say, oh, I'm not lean enough, I'm not fit enough. I always used to put myself down, but doing less now, realised how much you have to do, because I don't outplay players. Like, I'm not. I don't think I've ever been on shot of the month. Like, it's like when I play it, it's like it takes a lot of energy. I'm charging around, volleying a lot, and so yeah, that doesn't come easy. So I've realised that. So I generally don't know. I'm doing more coaching. I coach at Market Harbour Squash Club in Leicester. I'm playing a bit of paddle now as well. They've got 2 paddle courts. Okay. So I just did my level 1 paddle course yesterday and Monday. So
coaching.
Yeah, coaching. Yeah. So I've done my level 2 squash coaching, and I've done my paddle now as well. So I'm at a weird sort of stage where I'm playing leagues. I'm still entering tournaments, but I'm not training as much as I used to, and it's probably given me a bit of a insight to how much my squash needs to improve once I drop off physically. Because it's like, I played Sam Osborne Wild last night, and I went 2-0 up when I was flying around, and then because I've not done as much as I used to do, I hit a wall and I lost in about 20 minutes after that. And it just shows you my squash, maybe if I had a good enough ability of putting the ball away, I could get that off in 4 or 3.
Do you think your physicality carried you then for most of your
100%.
years?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So instead of again, if you go back to Joel, the comparison, Joel's a fit lad, but he's added layers every year.
Yeah, well, yeah. How many hours of solo has he done more than me? Once I'm fit and I'm in the mix, and I'll go as hard as Joel there, but I can do it for a day or two. Like, and he's got that mindset 5 days a week. He's obviously still likes a beer and stuff like that, but he's just chipped away a bit more than me. And I'll bump up. I do a good 6-week block. I'm like, I'm fit again, Joe. I'm lean. I'm running around. I'm coming for your charge around at Solihull, and then something will happen and that will fade off a bit with me. And he's just layer, a little setback. He's had a few losses at the start of the season. I know in the next couple of weeks he'll be doing more than anyone. That's just his mindset. So it's like, yeah, that's the difference, really, that kind of stuff.
Because I know, like, Joel's always talked about you being, in terms of training partner and level and what you bring to the training. Dak James has said the same in the past about training with you.
When I've not been drinking and I'm lean, if I've done 10 days of running, and I'm naturally a very good athlete, but the natural side of it, I have trained for 10 years as well. Like, some people do have more of a genetic thing, but I have trained very hard for, either in the gym, plyos, reactive speed, or lots of running, and lots of sessions with him where, like, I'm hanging on for dear life after 30 minutes, and I'm not trying to show him that I'm tired. So I forgot what we're talking about. Physicality, yeah, definitely. That's the biggest part of my game, and I'm just starting to realise. We were talking about having to get their squash ability up. I think there's been a few of the English players realising, look, I'm having to change. There might have been Pete Barker or someone, but when you feel yourself dropping off, that's when you understand what your squash is. Because, like I said, from that 30 to 50 in the world bracket, if I've been behaving and training hard, like I'm pretty much can blow away a lot of these people. And So yeah, it just made me realise that I probably not added, like Joel did, added enough layers to actually thinking about, you know, sitting back and thinking, right, is my grip this, is my racket prep this, and it doesn't have to be with a coach. Like Joel's he's got miles, of course he has, but he went through a period of not having a coach, but he was just videoing himself, and like he was taking a bit of what Nick Matthews said, a bit of this and a bit of that, and trying to find the in between, like he said on his podcast. But I never did that really. Like I said, I'd go away, not think about it, and just do the one thing what I know I can do. Or if I do 10 days of running and hill sprints, I'm going to be pretty competitive in that bracket, so I'll do it. But it's not enough to add layers to your game, is it? You're just always going back to where you were. So,
Are you still enjoying playing the game?
that's a tough question. Last couple of weeks, not as much, because I enjoy it when I'm flying around. I love the game. Don't get me. I'll still watch it. I love it. I love watching DL every time Joel's on, Pat's on. I love it. Of course I do. But my own enjoyment comes from you have to do a certain amount of work. Yeah, and you know, I the sessions I did when I was doing my hill sprints and stuff like that, when I was able to move quick in training and like screech around a bit, and people are like, oh, he's like, fucking, how'd you get that back? And stuff like that. Like that made me happy.
Right.
That's I need to be fit and moving around and playing at a fast pace. I don't really enjoy it when I'm panicking about my lungs and my legs going, and because that's when you need to let your racket do the talking. And for me, that's fifth. Some days I can hit some decent lines and some decent stuff. For some days it's just not there. And I think the physicality has covered that up to a level. You know, when I could hit wide. I mean, I played Moment in Qatar, and I was probably the fittest I've been in a long time, and my lines were so bad. I beat someone before, and I played him, and I think it was like 55 minutes on a cold court, and I was playing shocking squash. But I watched my movements back, and Deck was watching it. He was like, "You were flying," and it kept me in the match. So that's keeping me in the match against. You know, I lost 3-0, but it was like 11-8, 12-10, and whether he was playing well or not, but I did 70% of the work, and I was in the splits there, and I when you're fit, you don't panic. You know, when you're fit and you go to wipe your hand on the wall, you take a deep breath and you're like, I'm ready to go again. That's when you're fit. When you're not fit, you do a big movement and you go to the corner, you're thinking, right, I'm on borrowed time here. Like, and that's the difference between when you've done a lot of training, you're not. And I've done both. I've done barely any, and I've done a lot of training. But that's what I enjoy the most. I don't know why it is. I don't really enjoy like holding and snapping someone or hitting a cross-court nick off the serve. I enjoy that really hard movements and quick counter drops and just intensity. Like that's what I enjoy. And I just realised now I need to do way more than I'm doing so I can enjoy it. So that's a choice I've got to make myself, really.
What was that physicality always? I mean, we see the social media clips where you're wringing out the socks and the sweats and seeing like you do seem to love the fitness and the grind.
Yeah, definitely.
Were you always like that as a kid as well?
Yeah, I more so from my fitness like journey's gone through. It's the same as my life, really. I get burrowed into something until, you know, it doesn't make sense to do anymore, and I've got another weakness, and I'll go into that. But it's like, yeah, I was from 16, 17, I was a bit more. I was obsessed with squash. Obsessed with Nick Matthews. I think he was world number 1 at the time. So my swing, everything about getting out to the ball, you know, playing at a fast pace, volley everything. When I probably volleyed more at 16, 17 than I do now, because it was just obsessed with Nick doing that. And then, yeah, as that generally, I got with England squash. There was a S&C guy called Keith Barker. Got really into the little weight sessions I started to do at 16, 17. And that took a lot of my time up and enjoyment, really.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, going through the academy squads, Joel's always been a level ahead of me in terms of like physical endurance and stuff. Speed I can keep up in a certain way, but on the academy squads, I was probably the all-round fittest guy in terms of strength, speed. So that gave me a bit of a buzz from being there. One person might beat him in the bleep test, and someone might beat him on a power test. But if you put us all together, I'd be the all-round fittest lad in most things. So I just enjoyed that. So when I was going to the gym and I'm lifting a bit heavier than you, it's probably an ego thing again, isn't it? Or I've done, you know, we're doing a watt bike test and I'm still standing, like that kind of stuff. I've probably got an ego kick, but a buzz at the same time. Yeah. You never enjoy it when you do it. There's certain training you enjoy when you're doing, you know, like throwing, you know, cleans around and pliers in the gym and box jumps. That's enjoyable, isn't it? You know, when I enjoy some of the hill sprint sessions I do, you know, that I'm in a bad way, really, like max heart rate, trying to throw up, and I do this gradual hill session, and it's always the one what sort of resets me. I probably need to do it now to get my arse in gear. That's because that's what I need.
Tell me what.
So there's a park in Leicester where it's got it's the steepest point in Leicester basically, and there's like a 2 mile flat, but then there's like a rugged what do you call it, like trek type of running. And yeah, anywhere from, I wouldn't know I know that my last session I did was 440 meters elevation gain. So that's gain. So it's quite a lot. And if I'm going at a lick and I'm fit, there's some hills what are like lasting 8 to 9 minutes. So you're in a zone where if you're pushing it, I'm probably 170, 175, 180 for like 8 or 9 minutes, then to max heart rate. So that in that bit, that is not enjoyable. Like the conversations you're having in your head is like there's one part of me saying you've never not finished this, you're gonna do this, and there's one part of me head saying I want to stop, I feel sick, and then there's a part of me saying don't throw up, and then as I get to I started to throw up, but I enjoy that conversation I had afterwards. So some training you enjoy in the meantime, like some people enjoy solo, some people love a watt bike, and it's enjoyable when you do it. Like, but the running to me and that hard stuff with Joel, I didn't enjoy during, but as soon as I finished and I got in the shower, I think that's a sign of going past your threshold, is enjoying it afterwards, really, isn't it? But
I've masochism, sadism in there,
yeah,
enjoying the pain.
oh yeah, but Joel enjoys it, and like he enjoys it during. Like he's at 180 heart rate up the hill, and he's looking at me, and he's enjoying that. I'm not. I'm having all these demons talk to me. You're soft. You're weak. You're not going to make it. I get it done, but yeah, he enjoys fucking all of it. He does.
What I mean, when I look at you, what are you, 6'2"?
Yeah, 6'2". Yeah,
like, you're a big guy.
Yeah,
physical. Movement is a big part of your game, but you've always done it in a way where it's been reasonably fair and free flowing.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the kind of eyeballs and all the talk at the minute about the movement at the top of the game, especially, with Asal and the other guys, like what do you kind of see going on there when you're looking at it?
Yes, everyone knows what he's doing for me, mindset. Well, he's in the spotlight because he's number one in the world. There's plenty of Egyptians what are 50 in the world doing the same. There's plenty of people you don't see in a 5K what are absolutely blocking, cracking, cheating. And cheating happens, doesn't it? He's just at the spotlight of it, and he's got a choice. From what I see from it, some days he sees it that clear and he hits the ball that well he doesn't need to. Like, he can beat players from 5 to 50 in the world in 35 minutes. Like, who would batter me in 30 minutes? Like when he's on his game and he's hitting his lines, he doesn't need to do all these movements. But when someone gets into him, like Joel, Paul, there's certain people who've got to stages where they're starting to find cracks in him because he might not be hitting them perfect lines. He might be slightly off. He resorts to getting in the way. It's pretty obvious. Whether the referees see it, what I'd like to ask the question is to people like Lee Drew and all these guys, why aren't they doing anything about it? Like, why isn't there a big ban? I got a ban at 19 for 6 months for smashing a racket. At the time, it was a 3 tier strike. So I got a 6-month ban for having 3 conduct points. When you get a conduct point against you, I had 3. So my 9-month ban was for smashing a racket after a loss. It was John Mazzarella. So when I lost the point, hacked my racket on the wall to bits. Wasn't playing unfairly.
So you had like 3 instances,
3 strikes
within a period of time.
I think so. Yeah, within a year and I was doing a few things my behaviour wasn't great, and then they basically said, look, you do one more thing, you're out, and you're going to get a ban. And then I did it, and then didn't expect to be 6 months because
was that PSA or England squash?
PSA.
Right.
And then England squash always followed PSA with a ban. So I had a big chunk of time out. I never hit anyone. Never, I was feisty and might stand on the ball a bit and hit a forehand line a bit, but everyone has little. If everyone's going to be honest about the game, there's probably 10% of people what have never blocked, and they're the good of the game, and like they're just skillful and like, how do you go through? But most people in a dodgy situation, you hit a good line, you stand strong. But the difference to me is what Asal's doing. He's purposely moving into the line, and just the little hip checks and like the foot going out, to me, is enough to say just that we don't want it. Whatever he's bringing to the sport, I don't know what kind of money he's bringing into Egypt squat. I don't all that kind of stuff, but there's a line, isn't there? Like, there's a line, and I just think he does it when his ego's scared of losing, because Farag could chink his armour, Paul can. When Paul's moving well and lifting well in his lines, he can definitely get into him. So can Joel when Joel's confident. All these guys can, but what do you regularly see when they do? Well, he starts to time waste or to block. And so why aren't the PSA doing anything about that? If you I don't want to just compare it to me, but I had 6 months of my squash career taken away for cracking a racket.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's not great for the juniors, but what's worse for the juniors to watch? Like a little bit of a sneaky movement or cheating and getting all this money and thing for your ego, but you're doing it 50% of the time where it's not within the rules.
Yeah. But you're saying as well, you're seeing that in the 5Ks and the 10Ks and further down.
Oh, loads of people.
So it's not.
Yeah, but it's probably what they're watching him, and he's gonna be breeding a lot of, if Farag was, at the top of his tree for a bit, Farag's gonna have a lot of juniors what are completely obsessed with him. I was obsessed with Nick Matthew, but does he realise how many players are going to be doing the little, because when you're 10 to 13, you're like a sponge, you absorb everything. So when I was watching Nick, I absorbed everything about his volley and stuff like that, his training, his t-shirts, his racket. I just wanted to be him. So for a year, so he's going to have kids what are doing that. So PSA need to understand the generation what's going to come with him behaving like he is. Like I said, he's not bad. There's been worse players what have been awful. Like there's like McGueed. I remember playing McGueed, and I don't know. From 30 years ago, you'll have stories that there's always been people what have pushed the line, and probably way nastier than him. He's just quite. I think he's quite. One, he's very intelligent. To be able to do what he does and hit a perfect line is a skill in its own. Like, I don't know how he does it. Like, if I'm thinking of blocking some, which I have in phases, I'm thinking I've got into a few matches where it's more of a fight than a. But that's just characters like you, basically.
Yeah.
And when I try and block, the quality of my shot is shocking. I just give a stroke away. But he's able to, like, in the heat of the moment on a glass court with all the cameras, block you, trip you up, and hit a perfect line. It's like, I respect the skill. I don't respect the behaviour, but I respect the skill. But they need to do something about it. Like, because James is here, Bullshot was here, they'd have a conversation with him. Every time I've drawn the line, England squash had a conversation and tried to do something. They did do something. I got a ban. PSA got a ban for my behaviours. Cracking rackets, giving condescending stuff to the marker. You're going to get banned. It happened. It's all talk with him at the moment, isn't it? All talk. One little month ban, nothing happens. They still post him. He's done something with a really shocking max 4 conduct stroke, but Asal's the champion. Well, you got to draw the line of being good for the sport, and you need him, and him not being a good role model. There's a line, isn't there? So,
what got you into squash? Because you said you're naturally athletic.
Yeah,
you've got a great build.
I don't know. I think I'm naturally lean, but I'm trying to think of it as I think speed and tenderness. That you see that natural speed Asal's got.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's genetic, but I have, and I do manage to keep body fat off. I'm quite lean and tall, but I have trained a lot, so I don't know how much of it is. I have done 2 or 3 years when I was younger of just constantly doing box jumps, pliers. I used to make these little circuits up, and I was constantly Joel does what I do now. His little stuff in the gym where he's doing fast feet. Like, I was doing that weirdly way before him. He was doing an hour's ghosting on the backcourt when I was watching. I enjoyed the plyos, like 40 kilo bar on the back, jump with it, then take it off, then do bounds. I've done that for years. So I think I trained it more than anything. Genetically, I am gifted in body fat, and I think that tendon speed, natural speed, has been there. But I think it's more training than anything. I'm trying to think of someone who's just barely. I don't know what Faraz Dazuki does, but he looks pretty ridiculous in terms of body shape.
Yeah.
And once he gets into some tough situations, he doesn't look amazingly aerobically fit because he can put the ball away. But I'm just wondering how much training he does, and Asal, to be fair. But if for a one-off ball, they're as quick as anyone. So it's I don't know if it's a balance. Maybe it's a mixture of the two, isn't it? If you're genetically gifted and you've trained at it, you're going to be very, very good at it.
Because I remember you had the ex-rugby league coach and player, Dennis Betts.
Dennis Betts, yeah. God, he had his hands full trying to deal with me. It didn't go very far.
I mean, at the time, I was wondering, are you going to maybe sort of give it a bit of a go? Because you had that build.
I got the build. I don't know if I got the brain or the the tenacity. No. England squash, I had nothing but respect for England squash. They did everything to try and give me the tools I need to sort myself out. And he was another guy who came in. I think Pat Rooney still works with him now, and I follow him on Instagram. He's a lovely guy, but yeah, he definitely had his hands full with trying to deal with my brain.
That was like brought in as a bit of a mentor.
All mental side, yeah, because I think he was obviously. I've not followed. Is it rugby league he was in?
He's a legendary coach.
Yeah.
And,
well, I could tell he's an animal anyway. You can tell if someone's an animal with their eye contact. First day I met him, I thought, you've got something missing. Like, you've got a switch. But you got control over it. That's good. He came in to help with my mentality, and a lot of the stuff he was saying, it seemed so basic to him. He was like, you just need to do this, and this, buy into this. And to me, it was like, my brain is just scrubbed. If you could look inside my brain, and that's not I want everyone to feel sorry for me, but it's not as easy as for me as that, just to do this, do that. And he has one of them brains where it's like, this is the outcome, this is the behavior I need to do, let's do it. Joel's brain, outcome, boom. A lot of people's brain, probably Woolstrop's brain, Nick Matthews' brain. Not everyone's brain's like that. Whether you can change, I don't know. Have you seen someone with a character trait what's not helpful in sport completely change it around? They say Federer did when he was younger. I didn't see him smash loads of rackets. No. I don't know how bad he was. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like to find out if someone knows of a player what was chaos, all these kind of things off the rails, completely stopped, changed their mindset, what everyone was telling them before, and actually came through and be successful. I think it would be a small amount of number.
It's kind of what you were saying earlier, right? That was almost your X factor as a kid, was the fact that you were so aggressive and so explosive.
Yeah.
And that took you through when you were that 16, 17, winning those junior events, competing at that level. You kind of came on tour, but you were very quickly banned for a long...
Yeah, 6 months I got banned, I think, when I was 18 or 19.
When you look back now, that's 10 years ago, how much of an impact do you think that period of time had on you?
I'd like to say it did, but I think I got loads of bans after that. So I didn't learn from it. It made me learn a lot. I nearly did fall out of love with it, to be fair, because I don't know if they were trying to make an example of me, but I don't blame them, to be fair, because some of my behaviours then, I was the only person doing that type of behaviour, really. Like, if you actually look at it, and England squash are funding me, I'm representing the flag, and I'm doing, I'm smashing rackets, screaming at the ref. I'm just like a raging bull. So, like, look back and no one else was doing it. But I don't know, I nearly fell out of love with it. I went to work for a bit, did a bit of not seeing what real life was like, because other than that, I went to college and then I played squash. I was obsessed with squash at college at 15, 16. I did nothing else. Saw a few of my boxing mates go out for a few drinks, but it was very rare. All I was gym, squash, and I wasn't training very, like, ridiculously hard, but I just loved squash. Like, I was obsessed with volleying and stuff like that, and then that just gave me a eye opener to what the real world was like.
Because it was a 6 month ban, was it?
6 month ban, but I think I had basically 9 months out of competition. It was, so I had 6 months, but then I think I didn't. It might have gone through the summer, so that 3 month block where I didn't play. So it worked. I think it worked out to be not far off, like 9 months.
When you were 19.
19, yeah. And I was a bit of a prospect then. I think I was just top 70 at 18, 19, so I was starting to maybe win a few 10Ks just at that bit where I think, right, I might push through here.
That's a pretty pivotal period of time for a player.
Yeah, massively, yeah. I don't know. It's probably I feel like it was probably a good thing for me to see. Really, I've picked up a lot of traits from, my dad's a normal bloke. He loves a beer. Like, he's, I wouldn't say you'd class his lifestyle as what would be good for an athlete, and he's my hero and best. But I was always going to look up to and copy what he did, really.
Yeah.
But I just got introduced to it quite young, and the lifestyle of normal, like, working class lads, what love a beer from Thursday to Saturday and stuff like that, and eat a bit of shit food. It doesn't work with English, European squash, brain and stuff like that. Like I said, Egypt, those lads could probably 2 pizzas a day for the rest of, like Gawad probably does, but he's just, how many hours has he done more than me? He's probably been on a court since he was 3. So, but yeah, I just got introduced to a lifestyle, and I've had, and it's been more of trying to bat it off. When I batten that the normal side of me off, like, it just becomes, that's the hard part, really, is to that's enjoyable, isn't
like
it?
Separating them.
Yeah, separating them. Before it was just squash, like, until I got that ban. Like, it was, I didn't have anything else. I obviously love my family, and I think I had a girlfriend at the time when I was 17, 18. But my whole thing was, like, I just want to, this massive thing of squash was eating up all of my brain, like, and then as soon as I got the ban, fell out of love with it a bit. I got introduced to what normal life is, because being a squash player is not normal. Like, the behaviours, it's becoming more normalised now, because Gymshark and all these people are getting people into their diets, and it's a lifestyle choice now. But, like, for me, like, I was the odd one out not drinking as a kid. Like, the years I missed from my mates at school at 17 to 21, they're all out at uni, and I was just like that. And then once I got introduced to, like I said, that lifestyle, it was harder to batten it off, basically. So yeah, and I still struggle with that now. What's your priority? Enjoying yourself, or do you have to really fight and not live this lifestyle for squash, and for it could be for money, or but it could be for your ego and for points. But for me, the lifestyle is always, that kind of stuff has sort of always crept in a bit more than actually the willingness to, right, I'm not doing any of that. I'm eating, I'm going to bed at this time, I'm doing that. Because there's a lot of sacrifice, isn't it? If you enjoy some people just enjoy that. Some people just enjoy that, they don't go to the pub. They've probably never been to the pub. Some players have never been to the pub, they never have. So fair play. If you've never been into that lifestyle, but I presume they enjoy getting up and doing yoga and doing that stuff. That's their kick, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went through a phase of enjoying, but now I do enjoy some really hard training and training with Joel or seeing Pat and we get a good session done. Like, I enjoy that, but I'm not going to enjoy 10 hours sleep, not speaking to my mates, not seeing my girlfriend and doing yoga. Like, that's not enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
So like, why would I do it?
What did that 9 months look like then? I'm assuming you weren't on court every day doing the
No,
sessions.
no.
What were you doing when you were off?
I went to, I was tarmacking for a bit in Birmingham with my dad's friends. So he works for a company there. That was just shock because I've never done early mornings. I used to get picked up at 5:30, be in Birmingham for 6:30, get spoke to. Another thing for me actually was that I've never, other than Marcus, I've never really been spoke down to in my life. Like, my dad can tell me to shut up and I'd shut up, and my dad's friends, but like I've always been quite the cocky character. I wouldn't I wouldn't like someone, and I could always jump in back at the referee. I can always have my little thing back. But when I worked in Birmingham, with Irish tarmackers, the way they used to speak to me, it was shocking. I was so close to losing my head a couple of times. Like, just speak to me like a piece of shit. And that was a big kick to me. You go, really, you because you think you're the dog's bollocks at squash, and then you go to some firm where they don't even care who you are, and they're like, don't do that, what are you doing? I thought you all this kind of stuff. I'm like, wow, like, reality check, really.
Yeah.
And just how little I earned for that kind of stuff. It made me appreciate squash and just the lifestyle, like how much of the day is taken out for a lot of people. They earn good money, don't get me wrong, but bricklayers, all this kind of stuff are out at 6 and back at 6. Like, and I can, do a bit of coaching for the day, do one session and enjoy my lifestyle, take my dogs out for a walk. Probably not earning the money they're earning, but I've got my free time. I think we're going to work and doing a bit of that kind of stuff and seeing other people that maybe appreciate the lifestyle of being able to have your own time is massive. So, yeah.
When did the coaching start coming in?
When I got dropped from England squash. So I got dropped from England squash maybe 2 years ago. So obviously I was on funding and stuff like that. We got monthly payments, and it got to a point where I've probably showed I'm not going to have that kind of proper progression for a while, but I still had a bit of the time on my side with age. So 24, 25, then COVID happened. So there's a few, I think I probably still sort of think if you sort this mental thing out, you can potentially be a top 20 player. I think people thought that when I was younger, I could be a top 20 player. But as that fizzled out, I think England squash rightly, and I could feel it coming anyway. I could feel it with what I was doing that they were going to drop me. And we had a very good deal. Like, I was on free healthcare, so physio, any operation or scan I needed was all done for free. So it's a massive package, really. And I had that for a long time. I had that from that before the ban. Then when I came back onto the academy squads, from 2020 to 21 till 27. So I had 7 years of that.
Yeah.
So you don't really appreciate that kind of stuff till you lose it, really.
Yeah.
So, and then I had this feeling that, right, I'm not consistently earning money from tournaments. It's like a 50-50 chance, probably not even that I'm going to make money if I go to a tournament. So I just thought I need some more backup, and I thought, well, I've not got a lot of skills, and I can barely, if I tried to send you a text now, you wouldn't be able to read it. Like, I can't spell. Doesn't mean I'm not talented in certain stuff, but I just can't fit to the normal thing, like compliance with certain stuff. So I thought, what could I be good at? Well, probably coaching is probably the main thing. Whether I like it or not, it's going to be something what can give me a bit of stability. So yeah, I started about 2 years ago, then trying to get a bit more done now. So I'm some weeks I'm doing over 10 lessons, some weeks I'm doing 15, and some weeks I'm doing 2. It's quite an inconsistent way of living, a bit like squash, actually, being a coach in the squash industry. Don't know what it's like in paddle. I've spoke to a few people what are absolutely rammed with paddle, and they've got guaranteed work every day. In Leicester with squash, it's not like that. But yeah, it's been something that I want to. With coaching, I'd like to get to a level where I'm coaching high level juniors or players that come to me.
At the minute, it's just amateur players at the local.
It's a few good pros. I've coached a few this summer. The Brown boys from Leicester, they're 2 twins, what are very good. They're like England juniors and stuff. They were really keen. I remember they showed traits of me, what I remember I was like when I was like 13, 14, 15, like just absorbing everything. Like I could tell with the warm-up I was doing, trying to get them to do professional warm-up and stuff like that, and I could see it was just absorbing, and that gave me a bit more of a kick to know that, you know, I'm using my level properly, you know. I don't care what level I coach, as long as it's more about character and communication. If someone's really enjoying it and they're getting a buzz, that's fine. Like, and I love it, you know. So all lessons are fine as long as people are willing to listen and enjoy your respect that you're helping them. But doing that higher level definitely gave me a bit more of I found myself talking more, and like I change this and change that, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed that more. So I think going forward, I'd like to do that more. Whether it's with paddle, you know, paddle's a new game for me. It's like exploding. Like there's little things I could learn with squash, but deep down, I know it's my mentality and certain stuff and little few technical things. But paddle's like just boom, like it's basically starting a sport from scratch with a little tints of squash in it. I've never played tennis, but I presume it's got little tints. So it's like my mind for coaching and even playing it is just like I can absorb anything. So that's quite exciting for me. So it's potentially something I'd look into in the future. Obviously, don't know enough about it now, and I feel like it's a sport you could learn pretty easy. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go in my career from moving forward. Coaching at Mark Harbour Squash Club have been brilliant to me, really. You know, they've helped me, they've paid me when I'm away, you know, playing these tournaments. They've been really supportive to me, and they've got a good junior setup. So I want to get in the mold there with the squash and keep that going, but potentially reach out to, you know, the paddle side of things in Leicester and see where that goes. At the same time, trying to not kid myself and like I'm gonna be top 20 in 2 months and all this bullshit. Like it's not gonna happen. But still try and keep a level at squash where I can get paid for leagues and maybe push on in these 20s a bit to a semi-final and like still show I got a bit of well.
That was something I was going to ask you. I've kind of noticed, maybe it's since the coaching started, but you haven't played as many events on the World Tour.
No.
I'm sure there's factors there because the sort of World Series events changed a bit and the way the draws and stuff formatted. But I think in the last 12 months you've only played about 6 PSA events, but I've seen you playing a lot of leagues. That's a conscious decision?
Yeah. I've said to myself now, like, well, I've got a lot more responsibility. My girlfriend's pregnant at home, so
Congrats.
So I've got, and obviously, money's got tighter since I've been coaching. I lost I had a lot of sponsorship basically. Some years when I was younger, I was probably getting 15 grand sponsorship, like my best years, which is pretty much pays for your travel for the year. So it doesn't matter where I go. You know, I can go to America and risk losing money. Once I started to drop and lose all my sponsors, the risk factor became more to me. So I'm going to spend £1,000 going to America to, when it was top 48, to potentially lose first round because it's, you know, I'm playing a seed. I'm not at the back end of these 40 in the world. So potentially lose money, get paid in 3 weeks' time by a PSA and be £500 down. I can't justify that with you know a kid at home and my girlfriend. I can't do it. I didn't. It doesn't. It's not even viable now, and I wouldn't want to do it. So I'll pick and I'll do the tournaments I can do in Europe. Basically, so the next ones I'm doing is Brno.
You played Budapest a couple of weeks ago.
Budapest, yeah, I won my first round there. Then I didn't play. Greg chopped me up there. But you can make little. There's less risk. You know, the further you go away, the more risk. If you've not funded properly, you know, if these athletes are getting £2 grand a month off a governing body, they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, that might affect their willingness to want something, but you know they're comfortable. So it's just going to be the smaller ones for me, and like. They're the ones I enjoy doing because I know I'm only an hour away from home, so there's less risk. I can play a bit freely. If I do, you know, if you get to a quarters of a 20, I think it was £850 for that. So if you're not paying all your flights and stuff like that, and you're nipping down to London to do it, that's amazing because it'd take me a long. I don't think I could earn that in a week coaching.
Yeah.
I'll be doing a lot of hours, so it's like they're the ones I enjoy doing. Yeah, and I'm just not going to take the risk really anymore.
And then
I can't afford to.
I guess the league setup as well. If you have a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, a Thursday night, or whatever, it's a good constant way of earning cash.
Yeah.
If you commit yourself to those.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been awful with leagues for my whole career. Really, like I used to overtrain in the day because I didn't have really any respect for the league, and then you know I'd lose to someone I shouldn't, and then I used to say no to a lot of leagues, and now it would be the opposite to me. Like I couldn't at this physical state at the moment. I couldn't overtrain and try and turn up to a league. I'd have to try and be fresh because I'm not got enough work in my system. But I definitely appreciate the more, and I wouldn't turn a league down now. you know, because you know, one, local people can see good squash, they're paying you, so people can see high level squash, so that's ground root squash, which is helping. I never understood that before. You know, local people get to come around a top 30 player, a top 40 player, which is a good thing. Same with exhibitions. And then, yes, well, second, just a financial thing for me as well. Like, if you tick a box and you can say, right, every Tuesday for the winter, you're going to earn this money, and it's good money, by the way. You know, it'd take me 7 or 8 lessons to earn what I earn for some leagues. So it's like, that's working all day. So it just made me appreciate it more. It basically, when I lost all the things what I took for granted, when I lost the England squash sponsors, people throwing it at me, once you lose all that kind of stuff, it makes you appreciate the little things. Like I just go on a day rate now. Like, whether, you know, I'm happy. 100 quid's £100. Like, if it's a lot of people don't earn £100 a day in England. So it's like, if I can get that, I'm happy. Like, and if it's more than that, it's a bonus. So like, and that's what I felt like in Budapest. I don't think I made a lot of money with flights and stuff, but I made a bit of a profit, and I was home that week. So that's a little win for me. And they're the main ones, isn't they? The little wins, really.
And, I mean, it sounds very much, since the ADHD and the coaching, you're in a very transitional period.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Kid,
Massively
kid on
now.
the way,
Yeah,
mortgage at home and everything. So it's much more about staying on.
Been thrown at the deep end. Like I said, I've not realised anything in my life, really. You know, the house, we got help with the house. I got people throwing money at me, which I say, no, I was giving them something, but it wasn't really, you know, it was just for me, for being who I was. So, and then when it all comes down, you think, right, what have I actually, skills have I got? What management skills? What can I do? It's quite daunting, really. Like, when you know, I've had a lot of help from my dad, from people. My girlfriend's parents have helped us out, you know, not loads and loads, but I've had people who will give me a little push on the way. England squash gave me a massive push on the way. I've not really done a lot for myself. I wouldn't say, you know, a lot of my mates go out working, went from 18 and they're doing a hard working day, and they've gone out for themselves, and that's for them to get up. And, you know, I've never really done that. So now it's like time to, I don't think I've definitely not got a head start on it. You know, it's sort of all coming at me like that. But the only way you can do it is just keep trying to open up doors, really, open new doors, and take less risk. Like, I want to take less risks playing squash, and my lifestyle was risky. I was doing some of the stuff, like traveling the world. I don't know how. If honestly, I don't. No one would buy it. But if I wrote a book about some of the stories I've done, like traveling the world, I don't want to take risks like that anymore. I want a stable, calm, go for a few beers at the weekend, Friday with my dad, but work and earn money, and still, I just want that sort of flat line, because I've had that for 10 years. So I don't really enjoy that anymore. Like, I don't know if I did at the time, but once you're a whirlwind, it doesn't matter. But once you have time to reflect on where you go next, I don't want that chaotic. I just want a bit of stability, which a lot of squash players don't have. You know, a lot of squash coaches don't have. You know, in that industry, I just want more of a. I can half enjoy my lifestyle and have a bit of time, and then bring home money at the end of the month to help me and my family and stuff like that. That's more what means to me now, really, than, you know, can I bunch up to 31 in the world, or can I be 30, or can I be 28? I don't care. Don't care. No, I don't care. I just want to I want to try as hard as I can in the games. I want to train a bit harder so I can enjoy it, be mentally in, and give as much as I can, and then not be away for a long periods of time, and not lose a lot of money, and then I'll be happy for another 2-3 years. Really, it's really simple. That whether I'll get it or not, I don't know.
I'll definitely want to wish you all the best with it, George. It's been fascinating to sit down, get into your head.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, pal.
Cheers. Thank you.